Iberia, ravaged by the bloody tides of war, kings and sultans, dukes and emirs. Adversity makes for strange bedfellows, my friend. And you must read carefully if you are to decide the fate of Iberia.
As I sit down and begin writing on the first page of this new book, I cannot help but think of how this must have felt for my grandfather, Guifré the Hairy. For 3 generations, the leaders of House Barcelona wrote our epic journey from a meager baron of 2 counties to now reigniting the ancient Suebi culture and founding the Kingdom of Aragon. When I look at where my father and grandfather are buried, I know they are proud. I've also decided to make the old book available in the library of the castle, 4th shelf up, top right corner, in case anyone reading this now wants to take a look. And now with the authority of a king, I have chosen to start anew, to begin my own epic, as House Barcelona seeks to rise above their stations yet again. For 3 generations, my family has been involved in the Iberian Struggle, more deeply at times than others. As a king, my voice in the struggle is one of the largest, and I have no doubts that we can now start pushing towards the goal of ending it. Will it end gloriously with House Barcelona at the top? That we'll have to wait and see. But something else is calling me. Straw is like a well springing up inside of me. The Mediterranean, her sweet embrace. She's been calling me. Hello everybody, this is Havoc, and welcome to episode 1 of King Guifré III, the King of Aragon. Thank you so much for starting anew with me in this new series. As mentioned in the intro, this is a continuation of sorts. It's also a new beginning, in a way. If you want to take a look at the Guifré the Hairy series, I guess it's actually called, you can totally do so by taking a look in the top right corner. This is a virtual library of sorts. But guys, first and foremost, I want to say thank you so much for the support in the last series. I am looking forward to seeing where this one goes, although I do anticipate that it will be a little bit shorter, depending on how things unfold. Can't be guaranteed. We've got some goals in mind, but I'll explain that as Guifré III, of course. The best way that you can support this channel, though, if you are new here or if you're old, you know exactly what to do to engage that YouTube algorithm. You can give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on bell notifications, and leave your comments. Of course, if you want to go above and beyond, you can. This is a continuation, mind you. So there are characters from my supporters, from channel memberships, as well as patrons. They are all have already been in here, so it doesn't make sense to re-add them. However, new members or new patrons will indeed be added to this story. So if you know who you are, and if you're in here, and how things have gone so far. But it's been very enjoyable, and I am looking forward to people who are definitely willing, not pressuring, to support the channel in that way. Also, if you want to support the channel and reward yourself, you can buy Crusader Kings 3, the Fate of Iberia expansion, or any other range of games on my Nexus game store. Anything you purchase from there supports me directly with a small commission and rewards you with a game that you want. So you can totally head to there and support the channel in that way, or you can simply just watch, comment, subscribe, and do all that stuff. It does not matter to me. But I do appreciate the support. It has been amazing, and I'm looking forward to seeing where King Guifré III goes with the Kingdom of Aragon. That's about all that I have. It's time to put the game face on, start anew as King Guifré III. It has occurred to me that people may not know who I am. If for some instance the first epic gets lost and you are starting anew with me as I write this first part of this new epic as king, you may not know who I am. Well, I am King Guifré of Aragon. 44 years of age. I've been married to my spouse for quite a long time. I'm getting up there in years, without a doubt. However, I think I've got some pretty good traits. I'm an honest man. I value truth and sincerity highly. I'm brave. I do lead my armies as I have a significant command presence. But I'm also calm, which means that I don't make rash decisions. I think about things before I do them, because I do believe that it is important. And rash decisions, as I've seen in the past with my own family, has led to not fantastic things. I'm a skilled tactician, lending to my martial abilities, and also giving me, again, that command presence. But I'm also an aggressive attacker. That is a recent development, and it's allowed me to ensure that my enemy has more fatal casualties than I ever will, assuming I win. I'm also a twin. Judith, she's not in the greatest state. She's got a liver pox, which is pretty gross. Well, but I'm also a genius. That has been specially crafted by the first 2 generations of House of Barcelona. And unfortunately, it's also meant that spouses have come in short supply. It's something we're going to have to address. I'm not above diluting, I guess you could say, the bloodline. Geniuses aren't necessarily what we need right now. We'll have to see. I would love to cultivate other traits. For instance, my wife. She is quite the robust lady, and that has resulted in our 3 children sharing some traits throughout our time together. I don't have too bad of a diplomacy. I know how to command my vassals. I know how to have that presence amongst other independent rulers. My martial is, of course, where I shine, and that is hands down the biggest reason why we have one of the largest armies in this Iberian struggle, and honestly probably in the surrounding factions. My stewardship is nothing to really brag about, but my wife Arangarda has boosted that by quite a bit, and I am very thankful for her ability to handle money well beyond mine. Intrigue is where I am poorest. I am not the sneaky type. Now, it doesn't mean that I won't have other people do sneaky things for me, but I more give the idea and let other people do the executing. My learning isn't too terribly bad either. It does allow me a certain degree of piety, which we have been using, and a nice cooperation with the Pope in funding our endeavors. And my prowess ain't too shabby either. All of these lead to the fact that I command my armies personally as much as possible because, well, that's just the kind of king that I am. We are, of course, Catholic. We have stayed Catholic during our time here. There are no changes or plans to do otherwise. Catholicism is our faith. It's what we were founded on, and it's what we will remain. However, we have been able to reignite the Suebi culture. It is the Suebi culture with an Iberian heritage, and we have decided to keep House de Barcelona's Doc Vulgar language. Now, as this, men are the only people who can serve in the martial. We could eventually modify this if we wanted to, but we'll get there eventually. We have the ability to stand and fight, which means we do take some more casualties, but we do have advantages. Maintenance goes up, but our toughness increases. We are agrarian as well, and this is a content trait that will become more common within our culture. We also will gain diligent, patient, and athletic, which I think aren't too shabby of things to have, in all honesty. Now, all the Suebi counties get development growth increase. Building construction costs are reduced. We get greater levies in farmlands, and the same goes for floodplains. So it just makes sense. It's distinctly agrarian. Their land's producing ample crops for hungry armies. While not having to struggle for food means peasants for the levy, it also means each soldier is not as motivated as those from harsher regions. It's a little bit of diversion from my grandfather without a doubt, but I don't think he would be upset. We are also bellicose, which means we do have more mercenary companies available to us. Our prowess increases, our men-at-arms maintenance and recruitment costs are better, and we have an increased levy size. The unfortunate aspect is that we do not have a whole lot of research going for us. It's something we will have to start over, and as head of the Suebi culture, we will definitely be able to push that once everyone recognizes who we are. But once that does happen, we will definitely go after royal prerogatives, so high crown and absolute crown authorities can be instilled within us. Now, hereditary rule is something I would love to do as well. It's something we're going to have to address for the most part if we have another son. But part of me's thinking, my wife of 49, I kind of think we're done having that. And if that is the case, then succession will be a piece of cake, as we will only have one son. But under Confederate partition, of course, new titles can be created, and that is a little bit of the concern. Now, we can't change that because, of course, I don't know or understand hereditary rule. Looking at the realm, though, we own the Kingdom of Aragon, which is the traditional King of Aragon that we established, and we also own this little section over here. We could eventually form the Kingdom of Sardinia. We currently have the Duchy of Sardinia, but we need the Duchy of Corsica as well. I do believe we will work on this because I've got some plans in mind, which we'll talk about in a minute. But the realm isn't doing too bad. We are making a decent amount of money. We do have quite the expenses due to court positions as king, and also our vast amount of men-at-arms. My prestige is going up drastically every time. I am quite the prestigious person. My piety, I'll admit, it could be a little bit better. Perhaps we need to go on a pilgrimage before I die to instill some extra piety inside the family. And our renown ain't too shabby either. If we open up the legacies, in the past we have embraced the House of Warriors, which increases our prowess, and Noble Veins, which increases the chance of good congenital traits and chance of new good congenital traits. Where we will go next, I honestly cannot tell you. But considering we are now kings, I think we may have to do something that instills that within our family. And we have 51 members in House de Barcelona, and you can see kind of where we have come from. Duke Guifré I, the Harry of Barcelona, starting as a simple baron, my grandfather, who had many, many children, honestly, none of which have been near as prosperous as we have for whatever reason. My father, Duke Guifré II, the Thief Slayer of Barcelona, did have several children as well. And for the most part, we do get along. And for that, I am thankful for. But as for me and my house, we are now kings, with all of my siblings underneath my reign except for Emira. I'm hoping that our family can still remain prosperous. There is a fear that some things are falling apart, but overall, I can't terribly complain, but you can see, culturally, we're starting to get a little too mingled. And I'm afraid that given another generation or two, while awesome as it is that, our family might rule Iberia, it's still a concern for marriages. It's a concern that things might not go the way we want them to. It's a real and potential threat that incestuous activities may ensue. But this is my realm, and I am thankful for it. And we've got some business to do. First and foremost, as king, I now have a court, one that needs maintenance, one that needs me to take a look at things. And of course, right before my very eyes is Bernat Guillem de Barcelona, my courtier, and also my kinsman. I find my kinsman, Bernat Guillem, sitting on the floor surrounded by spilled paint and pieces of canvas for the third time this month. My courtiers whisper about him being an artistic genius in the making, but the servants complain about scrubbing the floors free of the paint in the wake of his inspirations. If I stop, I lose court grandeur, which is the value of which my royal court operates. And Bernat would lose 20 opinion of me. I don't want that. His genius will simply be nurtured. Simple and quick and efficient. That's the way I like it. We, of course, have a couple of court artifacts at our disposal. The Barcelona Dynasty banner is ours for the taking, and for the hanging, prestige and renown increase in independent ruler opinion. And then the Barcelona House banner, which also does the same thing. Gives us prestige and renown, and a little bit of court grandeur bonus. But we need to establish what kind of court we want to operate. Currently, we have a diplomatic court, which means we get tyranny gain, decrease, counselor opinion, and max personal schemes, which is great. This is from our previous culture. Now, for the bellicose ethos, which the Suebi operate under, we could do a warlike court. At level 1, gives 9 effectiveness, then continues into powerful vassal counselor, levy-based contribution, then extends to men-at-arms, and then the size of men-at-arms regiments, which would be fantastic. An intrigue court, we give scheme secrecy, and then scheme effectiveness, increase agent acceptance for hostile schemes, and then max of hostile schemes in general. I don't think this is something we want to do, and instead, I will go for a warlike court. Of course, our language is Dulc Vulgar, but now we have some court amenities. We currently are sitting at last century fashion, very bland food, minute lodgings, and very few servants, none of which can stand. Our court grandeur is at 24. We are ranked 33rd in the world, and that is unacceptable for King Guifré of Aragon. Now, what we need to do is a little bit complex. For one, endless servants is something that I believe is fully within our ability to afford, and something that is necessary, as we have endless servants. Our guest recruitment costs, if we want to bring anyone into our court, is reduced by 50%. Our personal, hostile, and grandeur bonus all increase by a large amount. I think that's important. The resistance is especially important as king now. And then any courtiers and guests get personal scheme power themselves, and also hostile scheme resistance, which is a little bit of a double-edged sword. It means that while I have the ability to thwart anything my vassals might do against me, they also get a little bit of that bonus as well. But it's a fine line, one that I'm willing to thread. As for lodgings, I just don't know that, we'll do some small lodgings. It's not something that I care too much about, and eventually we could change it in a year or so. As for fashion, as you can tell, I'm quite the fit fellow, and I do enjoy my fashion. I think the benefit here is that my courtiers and guests would get the prestige. And then as for food, I don't like bland food, but neither do I like exotic food. That's a little too much for me, and would potentially lead to those in court getting quite overweight, to put it nicely. Lavish food, though, would be great. My stress loss actually goes down by quite a bit more now. And again, the feast activity reduces even more stress. My grandeur bonus goes up even more. Now that would mean that I could all the way get to grandeur level 6 at the current time, based solely on these actions. However, it does mean that I am spending a third of my income on these new amenities. That's okay though. There we go. Hot couture fashion. I like it. We are ranked 33rd in the world, but I know we will increase. And by getting to court grandeur level 6, we can convince de jure county taskler task. That was a lot of words I missaid. Courtiers will gain a special trait. Powerful vassals will contribute more. And the manage royal guards counselor task, which I think is awesome. All well and good things. That's all I'm going to worry about for now, because we have things to get to. Now, one of the important things to realize is that the Iberian struggle in the consolation phase is about to be over. And we are about to come full circle where my grandfather started in the era of compromise. Compromise will bring with it its own new challenges, which we will certainly take a gander at, but also see in what ways that we can end this thing. There are 3 primary ways that we can end the struggle as House Barcelona. And honestly, status quo is one of the quickest. These endless conflicts over the peninsula only weaken us all. It's time to accept that Iberia was never meant to be united, and instead be content with Aragon. This is something I would be okay with. I gained the nickname the Pragmatic. Every independent or separated duchy becomes a de jure kingdom. Connected and completely controlled duchies transfer de jure to the primary kingdom. The empire in Hispania is permanently destroyed. Holy wars and conquered duchy casus bellis costs 50% more faith. The Dynasty of Barcelona gains 10,000 renown. That's the most important part. The thing is, I could end this if we can ensure and take down the Kingdom of Leon. I need to be the only king or emperor rank. That's the only condition. Everything else is about to be in order. If I can do the status quo, I will do the status quo. Detente is too much. I don't have any involved rulers in an alliance but one person. The Aragonese dominance, as much as I would love it, requires Galicia, Tula, Cordoba, Valencia, and every de jure county of my capital kingdom must be Suebi and Catholic, which currently none are. So it would be difficult, and honestly, I don't know if our story will last that long. But lastly, before we get down to real business of the things, securing the Mediterranean is the desire that has been welling up within me and only requires Corsica and the chiefdom of Sicily. Corsica is an easy target. Sicily, not so much. Mainly because we would have to go up against one of the largest empires in Western Europe, and that is Basilios of the Byzantines. Apollonios of Calabria, excuse me. Not too difficult, but the Byzantines will be a little bit difficult. With that out of the way, let's hold court. Sitting on my throne, a gesture from my guards to open the doors. A stream of people file in, some lining up in front of my throne, while others move out of the way so they can simply observe. My sister, Ermengarda, shows me a page filled with unfamiliar symbols insisting on its legibility. I've developed a written language specifically for the women of the court since the letters are mostly taught to men. If you will allow it, I'll begin teaching the ladies at once. You know what? We can make better use of your talents for sure. We gain invented code, which means that scheme secretly increases by 8 for 5 years. That's not too bad. Easy enough. 2 of my vassals are pushing one another and jostling to reach my throne first. Lord Mayor Habib bows before me. My lord, murder is wanton in the city streets throughout the Kingdom of Aragon. It would be civilizing if we instituted a ban on townspeople bearing arms, at least within city limits. Count Radofratus kicks him out of the way. Safety is each man learning to protect himself. Banning the carry of weaponry will castrate the townspeople. You know what? I can't really speak to how volatile the Kingdom of Aragon is. I actually think it's quite safe. I think banning weapons within the settlement walls will certainly be advisable. In every held county, control growth increases by 0.1 for 50 years, which isn't a small amount, mind you. And then Lord Mayor Habib gains 20 opinion of me, but no matter what happens, Lord Mayor Habib and Count Radov become rivals. I'll let them deal with that. A frightful peasant strolls all too close before a guard steps in between us. Ooh, he backs off with a wink, laughing through scant teeth. Your lordness. I'm come here from Girona with a matter of great import. You see, our king Fletcher's been carrying off with the prayers, sister's cousin in the old village. It's been an uproar. And this since 7 moons back, or at 8. He strokes his chin. You know what, steward? You weaseled your way into this position. Go fix it, please. Sure, he'll lose a little bit of an opinion of me. But you know what? We get development growth and popular opinion in the county of Girona. And as the last petitioner departs, various courtiers follow them out, having business to attend elsewhere. Soon the ceremonial formality of the proceedings has dropped away. The hum and bustle of normal courtly life takes its place. My business here is done. And not too long after I have officially become king, Count Kristopher, my brother and my best friend, sends me an invite to a feast at his court. It'll be a grand affair worthy of your honorable presence. It will be my pleasure. Every guest has gathered in the great hall and our gracious host has welcomed us all. I look forward to this. The feast is dwindling down. I found myself deep in conversation with my honorable nephew, Hug. He inquires about my opinion on court alliances, a subject he's deeply interested in. Sure, find that subject fascinating as well. Pleading gaze I received from my acquaintance Ermengarda. My sister-in-law, is taking on a desperate tone. A group of guests are approaching the corner she's hidden all evening, and the walls are hindering her to escape. Absolutely, I will distract the converging guests. Don't worry, sister-in-law. I got your back. And gained a nice favor hook as well. As one plate of food is replaced by the next, my brother and friend, Count Kristopher, goes on and on about sword practice. And that was how we salvaged that mess. Sure, I'm not boring you, my lord. Oh, absolutely not. Do go on, for sure. What a feast! I remember the days spent in Count Kristopher's halls for a long time to come. Now it's time to wash off the traces of merriment and wine and once more resume my duties as Lord of the Realm. Farewell, my brother and friend. The realm has remained in peace for quite a long time. Seems no one wants to really pick a fight with the king, go figure. But now Barcelona, the House of Barcelona, has a new Dynasty Legacy, one that will affect every single character, every single family member. As king, while I am not one to engage in schemes per se, I can't help but pursue an ominous reputation. One that would allow me to gain dread faster and have a natural dread presence. This would ensure that people might think a little bit more before they decide to do something against their king, even as family members. And this would allow things to go even further if we wanted to. Which I think are important because I have no idea what my sons are going to be like, what my daughters are going to be like. And now, I think it's time to work on the one small thing we can do against the King of Leon, and that is to engage in the struggle class in the county of Navarra. Now, he does have more troops than I do as personal total soldiers. And he does have quite a lot of money as well. But if we took the county of Navarra, we'll seize all territory within the realm that is part of the county of Navarra. We'll gain a decent bit of fame. We'll have to see what happens, but I think King Savaricas of Leon needs to be brought down just a little bit. Let's get to it. I will, of course, bring in ally Emir Salah, engage all the troops, raise all here. Let's see what happens. The Battle of Palencia was going well. My allied commander, Ali, was indeed winning, but then King Savarico came in. He got himself caught, and I don't believe I'm going to be able to reach it in time. My only hope is that perhaps there is enough to where my armies could win the day, and indeed it looks like that might just happen. If I can catch them off guard, we might be able to do so and win the battle. Oh, if only just. They do have a great deal more troops than I do. However, I think we have much better knights. I would like to think we have much better knights. Whether that will lead to actually us winning, I guess we'll have to see. I am going to pursue and hope that my allies will be able to actually do something. They split up for a brief second. It's not going to end up well for me. If I can catch one of their armies, the second army of Oviedo, this should be an easy victory for me. One that he shouldn't be able to reinforce until the battle's already over, or at least until it's too late. We have a significant more amount of command presence, and we're still going to win. Thank goodness. Kristopher has been hosting my Chancellor for several weeks. That's great. That's awesome. You're in my army with me, so I don't know if my Chancellor's here. I haven't seen Guifré, my Chancellor. I haven't seen him. Where is he? Regardless, 30 opinion, that's fantastic. And it looks like we will indeed win this battle. That's huge. That is massive already. Now, we did have some soldiers who were wounded, and that is unfortunate. But now it will allow us to go to the Barony of Pamplona, also known as the County of Navarra, and be able to take that over with a little more success. And now that my allies have had time to recover, while they are significantly weakened, they can start doing the same thing and start hopefully reinforcing me as I look to take on Pamplona, which shouldn't take but a few months. And it looks like my allies have yet again gotten themselves into a little bit of a pickle. A little bit of a pickle indeed. And while I would have loved to have supported them, Pamplona and Navarra are a bit more important. And he is only serving to weaken the enemy even more so that once Pamplona is mine, we can start rolling. I do appreciate your support, my friend. It is immensely helpful. I am very appreciative of your sacrifices. Your sacrifices are what are truly winning this war. Navarra is ours. It is time to go after the king yet again. Meet him in the field once more, defeat him, and then really start pushing. He was caught in the Battle of Tudela by my army, and will once again lose himself. King Savarico, please just die. Just end it. Just please. I don't have time for this. I simply want your lands. Just let it be. There we go. We're going to go after the barony of Soria because it is kind of close to both of our lines, and hopefully I can support the first army of Lisboa a little better going forward, or perhaps he'll hang out with me just a little bit longer. It seems the War of Sieges has now commenced. As I take the barony of Soria, the king is trying to take Balad al-Walid while my ally is taking Ipuscoa. I can head over there now. He will run away because I know how these cowards are. He's not running away. Well, I applaud you. I applaud you, king. But it will do you no good. And the war is now over. 2 years, which isn't too shabby overall. Enforce the demands of the sensible King Guifré. Your wisdom and mercy are legendary. You're a much greater foe than I imagined. I will comply with your demands. Pamplona is ours, and of course, as such, we need to set Count Kristopher 3 years in order to tame Pamplona. That's a bit harsh. But I appreciate your support once again. And you know what? I wonder... I'm going to bring it up in my war council, my economic advisor as well. And you know what? We'll let it be known amongst certain courtiers. I am contemplating and looking to potentially give Count Kristopher the Duchy of Aragon. I can usurp the throne, I can create it for myself, and the Duchy of Aragon could then go to Kristopher, which would make him a duke, still under me, and still under any of my successors. But is it worth losing a handful of vassals? Would Duke Kristopher pay me more in taxes? He would be immensely grateful, and I honestly would love to give it to my brother. I just need to make sure that it is the best economic decision for the realm. I know my brother would understand either way, and again, I'm more than willing, but is it the right move? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. This will be the end of episode 1 in King Guifré III of Aragon. We got some things to do. This is very exciting. I am very eager to see how this proceeds. We will try and dismantle the Kingdom of Leon in the future, but then also we are going to try and obtain the Mediterranean, which I think will be a fun adventure in of itself. Of course, guys, I appreciate your support. It is absolutely amazing. And if you want to support this channel, you can do so for free by simply giving the video a like, subscribing to the channel, turning on those bell notifications, and leaving your comments. I read every single one of them. Whether or not I take them into effect is an entirely different matter. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. You do know of the paid ways to do it as well if you want to support financially through YouTube memberships, through patrons, and also through Nexus. Guys, thank you for hanging out with me in the first episode of a new series. This is Havoc. See you in the next part.
Iberia, ravaged by the bloody tides of 4 kings and sultans, dukes and emirs. Adversity makes for strange bedfellows, my friend. And you must treat carefully if you are to decide the fate of Iberia.